Over the years, I've tested more smart home products than I can count, and honestly, my setup got a little messy. Too many devices I ended up not using, and too many things that maybe sounded cool at first, but didn't actually improve my life. So it was time to clean it all up, remove what wasn't working or what I no longer needed, and keep only what was actually useful. And today, I'm showing you the devices that survived the purge. This is the stuff that my family and I still use every single day in 2025. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Shane, and this channel is all about helping you build a smart home that's easy, powerful, and centered around the Apple home ecosystem with new videos and live streams every week. After years of testing smart home gear, I reached a point where my setup felt more like a tech demo at one of those trade shows where half of the stuff isn't working than a useful smart home. I had devices I didn't use, automations that didn't really make sense anymore, and just way too much going on. So I decided to kind of wipe the slate clean. I removed everything that I wasn't using, been reorganizing things, and I'm just kind of building it all back up more strategically with one goal: only keep stuff that works and adds real value to my daily life. In this video, I'll walk you through everything that made the cut. This video is not about, the newest or trendiest gear. It's about what's actually been reliable, useful, and still holds up in my home after real world use. Everything I mentioned today is listed on my website's recommended products page, many of which have deeper dive videos and links and all that stuff. So check that out in the description if you want more information on anything in particular. All right, let's start with what keeps the house comfortable, because this is one of the big ones for the whole family, and you definitely want to get this right. I'm using the Govee Thermostat Premium downstairs as kind of my main thermostat, and I have an older Govee thermostat for my upstairs zone. The room sensors help keep the house comfortable throughout the day and night, depending on which rooms we're using. I don't use Govee's cameras or security system anymore. I did a full video on that and why, if you're curious, but the thermostats have been rock solid for a long time, and that's what I'm using here in my house still. Smart shades were one of those categories that I didn't expect to love as much as I do, but they're definitely one of my favorite parts of the smart home today. I use Lutron Serena shades in the bedroom and here in the studio, Eve motion blinds in my daughter's room, smart wings outdoors, and SwitchBot blind tilts in the living and dining room areas of my house for retrofitting my standard Venetian blinds. Even the guest room curtains are automated with the SwitchBot Curtain 3. Most rooms here have ceiling fans. I use Lutron fan controllers for all the AC powered fans, and for the DC powered fans in the house, like in the living room, I'm just using a standard Lutron Caseta on-off switch. I also like the Govee tower fan here in the studio. It supports Matter and works well. Lighting can be tricky. It's easy to go overboard, but I've really tried to simplify and focus on just like reliability and mood and stuff that we'll actually use here. I do prefer smart switches over smart bulbs, and I changed out most of the switches in my house now with Lutron Caseta smart switches. I do have a few Aqara switches like in closets. I do have one of their new H2 switches. The top button controls the chandelier in my wife's office, and the bottom toggles a corner lamp with the only smart bulb that I currently use in the whole house, which is the Aqara T2 light bulb. I'm also thinking about putting another one of the Aqara light switches up here with the multiple buttons just to control other smart lights here in the studio. Now, accent lights, I have a ton of. The Govee HDMI Sync Box 2 is behind my living room TV, which I love. I have a Govee light strip behind my flag. The rest of my studio is basically become like a Nanoleaf showroom. I've got lines, shapes, blocks. I got the skylight, strip light under the desk. I also have Yeelight cubes here on my desk and also over there under the TV. A lot of people ask about those. My daughter has Nanoleaf shapes, the display boxes for her shoes, and the twinkly dots around her ceiling. In the bedroom, we've got a Govee neon light strip My wife loves this one. And I'm updating more lights here in this room soon, so be sure to subscribe to see how that turns out. In the kitchen, I've been using the GE Sync under cabinet lights, both below and above my cabinets. I've been very happy with these. Outside, it's mostly Govee. I've got the permanent outdoor lights too, curtain lights, the wall light. I also went with Nanoleaf string lights though over the porch because I just really like how these look. And then a couple of Eve flares around the house just to round it all out. These are super cool. Got one of them back there. Love the Eve flare. Now a quick pause. If you're into smart homes and want to support the channel, I just dropped some brand new merch. We've got tees and mugs to start with and more to come, all designed for folks like us who live and breathe this smart home stuff. So check out the first drop of 2025. Links are down below in the description. And when it came to security, I didn't want really anything over complicated. I just wanted it to work with HomeKit support and without making things harder for the family. For security, like the security system itself, I use Abode. It's worked great for years and has solid HomeKit support, so I continue using this. For the front door lock, I recently switched to the Whatley Visage. It supports home key, facial recognition, and fingerprint unlocking. I've also got the Ultralock Bolt and the Aqara U50 on other doors. The U50 works great, but the battery does drain quickly on that one, so I may end up replacing that lock sometime in the future. To make my garage door smart, I'm using the Tailwind Smart Garage Door Opener. I've used a number of different garage door openers in the past, but the Tailwind has been rock solid. I've been using this for over a year now, maybe like 2 years, and really happy with the Tailwind Smart Garage Door Opener. Inside, I'm using the Aqara U300 on my studio door and a Thorbolt lock for the bedroom. For cameras, I've been using Reolink PoE cameras outdoors for years, and they are great cameras, but I am in the process of switching most of these over to Unify cameras. The Unify software is just much better, and they do tie into my Unify networking setup real well. Since none of these PoE cameras support HomeKit natively, I use Scripted to get them into Apple Home. I still have one of the Aqara G5 Pro cameras outside too, which is a great outdoor camera with native HomeKit support. Now indoors, I'm using the Eve Cam and a couple of TP-Link HomeKit cameras that have worked really well. Various sensors and buttons and stuff like that are great for automations. It's the difference between a true smart home and just smart gadgets, that you can control with your phone. For temperature sensors, I rely on the Ecobee smart sensors. Again, they pair really well with the thermostats that I'm using. Plus I have a couple of the Aqara temperature sensors in a few places and the Eve weather sensors on both the front and the back porch. Now what about contact sensors? There's a lot of options out there. So I've been using the Abode sensors on the main entry doors for my home for a long time, since they work with that security system really well and they are exposed to HomeKit. And then for pretty much everywhere else, I'm using the Aqara Zigbee contact sensors, interior doors, closets, even the backyard gates.
The left gate is open.
These are super reliable, affordable, and the battery life on these is just insane. I'm also using multiple Aqara water leak sensors throughout the house and one of the Eve WaterGuard sensors. These have been a real lifesaver on multiple occasions, and I highly recommend having water sensors in your house. My go-to motion sensors are still the Aqara Zigbee sensors and recently the Third Reality MM-Wave motion sensor. I'm also using the Aqara FP1E for true presence detection in 1 or 2 places. I also use a couple of the Third Reality multi-sensors that are great for motion or light automations, but also great for status notifications with the built-in night light. Now buttons are underrated. I use a few Aqara wireless mini switches, usually hidden like under desk. I have one right here under my desk or under countertops. I also have one on the back porch to control some of my outdoor lights. I've got flick buttons by the bed, a flick twist here in the studio, and another one in my daughter's room so she can adjust and control all of the smart lights in her room. I have found that some things don't really need a ton of automation, but I still would like to have them connected and reliable, you know, in case I do need to adjust them. And air purifiers is a great example of that. I don't really automate these much. I typically just leave them on auto mode, and then if they detect poor air quality, they'll just kick on by themselves. But I am using a few of these throughout the house. The We Love Matter purifier, the Air Versa, I'm still using the old VocoLink air purifier, and the new SwitchBot air purifier table here in the house, which is a really cool one. For smart plugs, I almost always use the Eve Energy. They're matter over thread, rock solid, and reliable. I also like the Eve Energy outlet if you need to, you know, replace the entire outlet. Outside, I'm using the Yardian Pro sprinkler controller. It works great to control all my sprinkler zones and shows up in the Apple Home app. Been using this one here for years. Now, vacuums, I've used a lot of vacuums. I'm currently using the Ecovacs D-Bot X8 Pro Omni, which recently added Matter support, and it's been doing a great job so far. I'm also using the SwitchBot K10 Plus Pro Combo upstairs, which now supports Matter as well. For mowing, I started using the Segway Navimo X3 series this season. Now there's no HomeKit support on this, but it's been great so far. I've been really happy with this, and I do plan to use this robot mower all season long. All right, now real quick, let's talk about the hubs that I'm using. Potentially a controversial topic. I know some people hate using hubs, but each of these hubs serve a real purpose in my home, and I have gotten rid of any hubs that I don't have a real need for. The Aqara M3 hub is primarily used for connecting all of my Aqara Zigbee devices, like those water sensors, the door sensors, or the light switches. The Lutron Caseta hub is for connecting all of my Lutron switches and the Lutron smart shades. The SwitchBot hub is for connecting my SwitchBot Bluetooth accessories to Matter. The Flick hub is for connecting my Flick buttons. And the Abode hub is for my security system and the Abode sensors. I also have a Homey Pro hub as well as Home Assistant Yellow, which I use for device integrations and more advanced smart home automations. I talked about these a bit more in my last video, which I'll link right up here for those interested. Of course, I have many HomePods and Apple TVs throughout my home, which serve as my Apple Home hubs. So that's my current smart home setup in 2025. Everything here has been tested, lived with. This is the stuff I use day in and day out. Again, just because something wasn't mentioned here doesn't mean it's not a good product. I may have just not had the space for it, but this is the stuff that I am currently using on a day-to-day basis. The biggest thing I've learned from all this is that a great smart home isn't about how much stuff you have, it's about how seamlessly it fits into your life and actually using the stuff that you have, keeping it organized, all that stuff. I did talk a lot about organizing your smart home in one of my Apple Home 101 videos that we just published, so I'll put a link to that down below if you need a little motivation on organizing your smart home. And let me know in the comments down below, what products have you kept around, maybe after years of use, or what has been a total game changer in your setup. If you want to explore anything deeper from this video, again, check out the links below or browse my recommended products page. Don't forget to subscribe if you found this helpful, and if you want early access to new videos, private live streams, or join my member Discord server, consider becoming a channel member. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.